Ukraine's 33rd Mechanized Brigade developed a new plan to regain control of the situation in Kupiansk. Instead of sending infantry into another costly clearing operation, the brigade planned to cut off and eliminate these infiltrators using a coordinated assault conducted entirely by drones, including unmanned ground vehicles and FPV drones. This approach was necessary because months of back-and-forth fighting have reduced Kupiansk to ruins, creating countless hiding places for small Russian assault groups. Although Ukrainian forces cleared and recaptured the town in December last year, Russian troops have continued infiltrating in small groups, suffering heavy losses but maintaining a limited presence through constant attacks. While these efforts have repeatedly failed to restore meaningful Russian control, they have forced Ukrainian troops to conduct dangerous house-to-house clearing operations to remove surviving infiltrators. The 33rd Brigade sought to break this deadlock by using ground drones to seal infiltration routes, pin Russian troops in place, and destroy their positions without exposing Ukrainian soldiers to close-quarters combat. Using this new tactic, the 33rd Brigade just launched the first part of the operation to eliminate the Russians, who were spread across a compound containing at least 2 structures and a courtyard. The footage first shows how Ukrainian reconnaissance drones detected 5 Russian soldiers who were seen inside the buildings. Ukrainian forces quickly dispatched 2 ground robots equipped with large-caliber Browning machine guns to keep them there until FPV and bomber drone support arrives. After one of the Russian soldiers changed his position and tried to run from one house to another, a Ukrainian Mavic drone immediately tracked him down. This is when Ukrainian ground drones started shooting at the windows of the house from 2 opposing sides to block different exits and force the Russians to take cover, as the .50 caliber rounds of the machine gun started punching through the walls of the building. By engaging the building from the front and rear simultaneously, the Ukrainian drones trapped the Russians and prevented anyone from leaving through the front door or the back windows. This prevented the Russians from dispersing and gained valuable time for the slower Ukrainian FPV drones to close in on the target and strike the house. After the first strike on the smaller building, the ground robot kept firing at the house to prevent survivors from escaping or repositioning. The second house was then struck by the second FPV drone, which breached a hole in the wall. This allowed the third FPV drone to exploit the breach and detonate beyond the exterior wall, causing even more damage. To destroy the house, Ukraine deployed a heavy bomber drone, which dropped a bomb on the house, collapsing its roof, which denied the surviving Russians the protection provided by the building after the exits had already been covered. These strikes destroyed the compound and killed 5 Russian soldiers who were hiding inside the buildings. The significance of this operation is that only drones were involved, with no direct human involvement on the battlefield. This reduces the risk to Ukrainian soldiers, who can now sit in bunkers kilometers from the front line and engage the Russians from relative safety, without high risk to their lives in close quarters combat. As a result, the Russians were not merely struck from several directions, but systematically denied movement before the destructive drones arrived. By establishing this clearing method, Ukraine can repeat the same layered tactic against every infiltration group and cut off the narrow Russian route from the north to Kupiansk. Now, Ukraine keeps disabling their well-known land route with drones, killing Russian infiltrators and increasingly interdicting their only land-based logistical route, making it unusable. Continuous reconnaissance, enough armed ground robots and FPV teams before infiltrators can deny Russia access to Kupiansk, as the same system used to close exits from the compound, could be scaled up.
Ukraine's new bike unit adopts a Russian-style tactic. Fast, deadly, and often doomed. It's a gamble Kyiv may not be able to afford. Russian motorcycle assault tactics have spread to the southern front of Russia's 40-month wider war on Ukraine. The result in the south is the same as in the east. A lot of Russia's southern bike troops are getting killed by Ukrainian mines, drones, and artillery. But as in the east, the few southern bikers who survive can make dangerous dents at Ukrainian lines. The bike attacks are almost always fatal for the troops who attempt them. But that doesn't mean they don't work. Ukrainian commanders should think twice before copying the method, however. The Russians can afford to lose troops. The Ukrainians can't. The Ukrainian Armed Forces Southern Task Force claimed the Russians attacked in the Malinivka area on Friday. But analysts geolocated the site of the attack in Nestoryanka, 40 miles to the east in the same oblast. In any event, the attack failed as around a dozen bike troops ran over mines, got plinked by drones, or blasted by artillery. Their plan was doomed to failure. The Ukrainian Southern Task Force stated, "Our soldiers met the motorcycle assaults with dense fire, and as a result, all the enemy equipment burned down. Not a single occupier passed." The Ukrainian defenders, possibly from the 65th Mechanized Brigade, were lucky. The thinking behind the Russian bike attacks is perverse, but not insane. It involves heavy losses, but it still has certain results, the Ukrainian Peaky Blinders drone unit explained. For example, 20 motorcycles are going. Some of them are destroyed by artillery, some by drones. Someone is eliminated by mining, and our infantry will get someone in a gun battle. But several motorcycles still have a chance to jump into the landing. It only takes a few infiltrating Russian troops to create a lodgment inside Ukrainian lines, one that can grow into a larger breach. In deploying large numbers of bike troops, Russian commanders are playing the odds and betting that a few will eventually ride unscathed past Ukrainian mines, drones, and artillery. This costly assault method only works for the Kremlin because it has manpower in abundance. Motivated by generous enlistment bonuses, and apparently believing Russia is winning the wider war, 30,000 fresh troops sign up for Russia's war effort every month. That's slightly more troops than Russia loses every month in Ukraine. Even the suicidal bike attacks haven't tipped Russia's manpower balance into a monthly deficit. But Ukraine doesn't have a durable manpower surplus. So it's worth questioning the decision by one elite Ukrainian unit to form its own motorcycle assault group. The 425th Separate Assault Regiment organized its bike company, the first in the Ukrainian Armed Forces, last month. During the training, the fighters spent hundreds of hours behind the wheel and practiced shooting in motion, firing thousands of rounds, the regiment announced. As a result, we have a modern cavalry whose main task is to rapidly break into enemy positions, carry out assault actions, and quickly change the direction of strike. But can the regiment afford to lose almost all the bike troops it sends into battle? And will the Ukrainian people accept the loss of life? The Russians are determined to advance north in Zaporizhzhia Oblast. Russian troops conduct 6 to 7 attacks daily in the direction of Malinivka. The Ukrainian Center for Defense Strategies noted, one of these attacks may eventually succeed and open a gap in Ukrainian lines that Russian reinforcements can exploit. Even if the effort succeeds, it will come at the cost of most of the bike troops carrying out the initial assaults. The majority of these bikers are suicidal, Peaky Blinders observed, but apparently they are completely satisfied with it. The Russian army is increasingly losing old tanks, such as the T-62, in Ukraine amid a general decrease in losses of newer vehicles. Russian tanks in the war against Ukraine, based on visually confirmed data from warspotting.net, revealed a significant decrease in the total number of losses, as well as significant changes in the composition of destroyed vehicles. The main trend is the overall reduction in Russian tank losses, which has been going on for some time, but became particularly noticeable in June and July 2025. At the same time, between March and July, the total number of losses of T-62 tanks increased by 2.5 times, which is likely due to the active use of these vehicles in the positions of the Russian occupiers.